Welcome back to Cheyenne This Morning on 1240 KFBC. I'm J.D. Harris. Happy to have in studio with us today Tom Ritter. Tom is the unofficial public information officer for the SHYWY Amateur Radio Club, the ham radio guys here in Cheyenne. Good to have you aboard, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing good, J.D. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Glad to have you in. We've got some testing coming up for the people who want to become a ham radio operator. And we'll talk about that here in a minute with dates and times and that sort of thing and how people can get involved. But first of all, the SHYWY Amateur Radio Club. And we should let people know that if you Google this or whatever, it's SHYWY, not CHY.
Right, correct.
So SHYWY, SHYWY Amateur Radio Club.arc, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about the club a little bit. Tom's a good club here in Cheyenne. It's been around a long time.
Yep, sure has. The SHYWY Amateur Radio Club been organized since 1932, actually. Mm-hmm. And since that time, we've been devoted basically to the needs of Laramie County, the communication needs. We work closely with the Laramie County Emergency Management and ARES and RACES, which is Amateur Radio Emergency Services. We have also an ongoing effort with the National Weather Service, and we have SkyWarn spotters that go out and help National Weather Service spot severe weather during severe weather events. And we have monthly meetings that meet out at Archer Complex once a month. We invite anybody to come out and join us.
Yeah, you don't need to be a member to show up at the meeting. Just come out and say hello and have a cup of coffee and kind of hang out and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
You guys do, I'm a member of the club. I'm just not terribly active because everything happens at night and I'm in bed.
You have a real job.
Yeah, right. So, but no, the ARES and the RACES. Explain that for a little to people a little bit.
Sure, you bet. The Amateur Radio Emergency Service and Radio Amateur Communication Emergency Services are two organizations. One, ARES supports local Laramie County Emergency Management Agency anytime they need assistance with communications, whether it be during emergencies or otherwise supplemental communications. RACES is basically a service kind of like ARES, but its main support is for the Homeland Security. So they support Homeland Security. Anytime Homeland needs communication operators, they have a operating radio station at Homeland Security, and they have operators come in and supplement communications during statewide emergencies.
Okay, and it's all volunteer?
All volunteer, yes.
And we have quite a few guys that get involved in that.
Correct, yeah, and all this training for ARES and for RACES goes on. We have a monthly ARES meeting out at Laramie County Emergency Management, and we go over information and have presentations about emergency communications and things involved in that.
People have probably seen members of the SHYWY Amateur Radio Club doing their thing, helping with communications. You get involved in a lot of different community events. Frontier Days is a huge thing that the guys do, but whenever there's a walk or a run or some sort of community event, typically there's ham radio guys out there providing comms.
Correct, and we get a lot of requests for communication support, whether it be bike rides. We're actually doing a couple of events this year. The MS Walk, which is on the 30th of April, we'll be out supporting them with communications. Relay for Life, which is coming up in June, benefiting the cancer benefit. That's going to be supported by the amateurs. Of course, the parades during CFD, we're always there on the street corner. You'll see us with our radios, keeping people out of the street and making sure everybody's safe. And also the SkyWarn events.
Sure.
You know.
These type of events, and when the Amateur Radio Club is out there, it's basically you're offering another set of eyes to authorities.
Correct. Yeah, and supplementing communications if we need it. I mean, you know, if for whatever reason communications goes down and they need an extra support element out there with communications, we can be there to support that as well.
Yeah. Good club, a lot of community involvement, a lot of people in the club. For those of you who may have been kicking around the idea of becoming a ham radio operator, we want to let you know that there is a set of classes coming up, Well, let's talk about, there's 3 different types of classes here. Tom, tell us about them.
Correct. The entry level for amateur radio is what we call the technician class, and it's the entry level into amateur radio. There's study guides that you can get off of the American Radio Relay League that you can study for that examination. And it goes over a lot of basic general radio knowledge, electronics knowledge. Once you get the technician class test, the second step is what we're going to be providing, and that's the general class license. That class is coming up March 5th through April 9th.
Okay.
And we're going to have that out at Laramie County Emergency Management.
Okay. Now, people can, again, go to arrl.org or .net. I'm not sure what.
arrl.net.
.net, and you can order the study guide there, the book.
Absolutely.
And do you need to show up with a book if you take the class? Is that the deal?
No. The books will be provided, although you do need to contact the point of contact for this class, which is Beth Wood. And her call sign is KJ7FC, and she can be contacted at her email, which is kj7fc@hotmail.com. She would like to be notified before February 26th, which is tomorrow, so need to get a hold of her, and so she can get enough manuals so that everybody has a book. Now, there is a bonus to this. If you are the first of 5 registrants to register for the class, they'll give you the book.
Okay.
So that's the incentive.
Yeah, very good.
Get in there early.
Well, it's worth a few bucks, and
Absolutely.
it's always a good reference to go back to, a good reference book. In fact, the three different classes, there's a book for each level of license.
Correct, for the technician, general, and for the extra.
Right.
The extra is the highest class license.
Right. Okay, so that starts March 5th. We need to let Beth know as quick as we can about that. The general license compared to the technician license just gives you more privileges on more bandwidth.
Correct. Yeah, it gives you a little bit more bandwidth on the frequencies that you can talk on high frequency or HF. It just expands your capability as far as being on HF as opposed to the technician, which basically is a VHF 28 megahertz and up.
Right.
VHF privilege. So you can get on and talk to the world. Basically, the general class, you can get on the HF bands and actually talk all over the world.
Sure.
I mean, it's a great band of frequencies that you get privileged to use.
Right. Now, I know you've been an operator for a lot of years, Tom, and you're on your station that you have at your home. Are you running 100 watts? You running more than that? Are you amplified? What?
I'm running 100 watts in a wire.
There you go. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what I've been there. I ran 100 watts, just a modest station with wires when I started out, and since I got a little bit more land to deal with now, we're running anywhere from 100 to 500. I've got an amplifier that'll run up to about 500 watts, and I got some antennas on towers, and so it's a fun hobby. It's a real fun hobby, and I talk all over the world. We talked to South Africa last night. I talked to a couple guys in Italy last night.
Really?
Just like you're sitting here in the room with me, and a good friend of mine, Juan, over in Spain, in Catalonia. He was coming in great, so I said hi to him. So it's a wonderful hobby to be able to make new friends.
Sure.
All over the world.
And and this isn't just a hit and miss kind of thing where, you might hit and miss to make the original contact, but then you find out, well, this guy's, Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm on this frequency and I'm goofing off or whatever.
Right.
So you kind of know when these guys you've made contact with are going to be there, and you can begin that friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And later at night, it's early morning in Europe. So everybody in Europe is getting up, it's 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. They're getting on the air, and they like to talk to the States.
Sure.
So the propagation, which is how the radio waves work,
right,
is good. And so you know that late night, about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, you're going to be talking to Europe. And maybe in the morning you'll talk to Australia.
Sure.
So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
There's a whole technique to it. There's a whole science to it, if you will, with propagation. There's directional antennas. There's all kinds of. If you want to talk to Sweden or whatever, and you got a directional antenna, you point at that general direction, and the majority of your power goes that way. And it's kind of cool to play with it, isn't it?
It is. Directional antennas, I have a couple of them, and I do twist it around on the rotator, and you know, you can talk anywhere you want to, really. Just point the beam and go. The wire antennas work great too. They're more omnidirectional, and you can get, stateside, east to west coast pretty easy. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with. Technology is getting smarter and smarter these days. We're actually into digital now. There's a lot of people that are running digital communications over low power, and they're talking all over the world as well. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
It's pretty cool. It really is. Like any hobby, ham radio, there are ways that the hobby will relieve you of your money.
Correct.
And
a lot. Sometimes more than you want.
Right. When your wife goes, "Oh no."
Right. She says, "No more pipes." You know what that means.
Right, exactly. Now I've got a pretty modest station at home. I got my G5 RV wire I got laying across my roof has cost me $50.
Yeah, $50. But it works.
But it works really good.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when you even in the United States, and I think I talked to a guy in Maui, Hawaii one time, and I thought he was going to just fall off his chair. He was so excited to talk to somebody from Wyoming.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing. Pardon me. Even in the States, you talk to some guy in Rhode Island, he's tickled to death to talk to somebody in Wyoming.
Wyoming is a very rare state, just like Vermont. I think Vermont and Wyoming are probably the rarest states to talk to because, we only have probably 450 to 500 hams in the state. So, I mean, not like any other state, like California, they got thousands. And so everybody talks, there are thousands of operators on, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Wyoming, I have met so many people that have been on the air for 15, 20 years, and they say, "Wow, you are my first Wyoming I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And it just blows me away. But, you get on the air and you start talking, and people realize that you're from Wyoming, and if you got a decent signgle, you're going to be busy.
Yeah, people are going to line up to talk to you.
People are going to call you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, it's a fun hobby, and if you'd like to get involved with it, you can learn about electronics. You get to know the guys in the club, a bunch of good guys who get involved in a lot of community activities. And it's the SHYWY Amateur Radio Club. We invite you to go to the website. There's all kinds of information on the website. Once again, the classes, this will be for the general class, so you'll need to already have your technician ticket.
Class, right.
Yeah. Starts on March 5th. KJ7FC is Beth Wood, and she is the contact for the class, and her email, kj7fc@hotmail.com. A lot of fun, Tom.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we got, club meetings every month. So our next club meeting is coming up March 8th. That's going to be 7 p.m. at the Archer Complex, east of town, in the Emergency Management Conference Room. Okay. And so that's coming up. Several other test sessions are coming up that we've got. The 27th of February actually coming up is a volunteer examiner test, and that's going to be out at the Y cafeteria at 9 a.m. So if you've already studied and you want to take that test, February 27th is out at Y cafeteria. You can do that. Several opportunities to come join us.
Sure. So the classes are good to take just because there's a lot of explanation there as opposed to learning on yourself.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Okay. We'll go through all the information that you need to know to pass the test, and by the time you're done with the class, should be able to pass it with no problem.
Okay. Tom Ritter from the SHYWY Amateur Radio Club. Tom, thanks a bunch for coming in, man.
Yep, appreciate you bet. Thanks, JD.
Right. Thank you. Stay with us. More to come on Cheyenne Today, 1240 KFBC.